guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a movie review. This movie is a drama from Sweden. This is spoken in the Swedish, Norwegian and English language, English subtitles, released in the year 2014, directed by Ruben Östlund, and this film is called Force Majeure. So the story of this film, you've got a family, you've got a husband, wife and two children. They're going skiing for 5 days just to get away from their busy lifestyles. And so one day they're having lunch at this ski resort and they see an avalanche coming. So they initially think that this avalanche is just a controlled avalanche that they do just to make the area safer. But then as the avalanche gets closer and closer, they realise that this isn't controlled and that maybe their lives are in grave danger. So the husband of this family, he runs away without even caring for the wife and children. So it turns out that the actual avalanche was stopped a long way before it actually got to the restaurant. But in fact, the overall sort of cloud had gone over, so it actually made it look dangerous, but it wasn't dangerous. So when the haziness clears, it turns out that it was a false alarm and now there's blue sky, and so the father comes walking back. Now obviously the wife has a big issue with this, and she starts to believe that her husband doesn't have what it takes to protect their family. So as the movie goes along, they're getting into bitter sort of arguments, and their marriage is on the brink, and basically the head of this family is starting to shift. So what happens at this point on, whether or not they can fix these problems, it's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Force Majeure. I hope I'm saying that word right, I don't know how to pronounce it. But basically this movie, what it's documenting is courage and cowardice, and does cowardice make us necessarily a bad person? And there's so much thought-provoking material in this film, and I thought the director executed it perfectly. I mean, this is definitely a soul-searching film. This is a movie, as I said, about the courage. You don't really know what you would do unless you're actually faced in an extremely dangerous situation. And the movie makes you think to yourself, what would you do in a similar circumstance? Now for me, you can easily say, I would do this, I would protect my family, I would be really brave. But that's very easy to say from the comforts of your own sort of surroundings. But it's not until we're faced with that moment where it's either life or death, that's when sometimes you can react a certain way, and it might not necessarily look like a very good way, but it's our instinct. And that's basically what the movie is telling you, is that you're not necessarily a bad person, it's just a human instinct that is kicking in to protect yourself. But then when it comes to a family, this father, he runs away, so initially you think he's a coward, but then as the movie goes along, you start to think that, yeah, it is that human instinct, it is that automatic sort of fight or flight kind of thing, in that you're either, you're just going to freeze, or you're going to run, or you're just going to stay and fight. So it's a movie that is a very interesting film, and it's a movie that is going to create a lot of discussion, and I think that the movie wouldn't have conveyed that message as strong as it did if it didn't have a very solid script. Now this is one of the best written films I have seen. It is a movie that is sometimes it just has two people talking in a scene. And usually that will become very boring, but it's just the exchanges that these people have was just so intriguing, and it just kept me glued on the screen. This avalanche is the only sort of action type of event in the film. So initially you dismiss this as a very boring movie, but the script just captures you, it just sucks you in, and you want to see how this relationship and how this family are going to come out of this ordeal. And you can sense that the children don't see their father in the same way, the wife doesn't see the father in the same way, and the father's kind of role as the main person in the family is seriously under threat. So you can really feel sorry for this guy, because as I said, it's that automatic instinct that not necessarily a bad person, but he panicked. And when you panic, you can do things that you might not necessarily like to do, and you will regret it. But just that 1 second in life, can that change everything? So the movie does go down a very interesting road. I thought the acting was absolutely fantastic. The guy who played the main character, I mean, he just gives an absolutely phenomenal performance. I thought there was typical deadpan Scandinavian humour. There were some scenes that made me really laugh because they were so awkward, especially one scene around a dinner table where this woman is detailing what happened. And the way that the husband reacts to that, you can just sense that he was being cornered, and he didn't know what to do, and that was just really, really funny. But it's also quite a depressing film as well, because this husband seems like he's losing control and he might lose everything. So I'm not going to tell you whether or not he does, but I actually thought right at the end it really summed things up, and it does show that everybody has that instinct in them where they panic, where they overreact, and when they run. So I think it's just a human instinct, and I think that none of us can really say what we would do unless we were put in that specific situation, and that's what the movie is telling you, and that's what the movie does so well. I mean, cinematography was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. It was captured in the very snowy mountainside. It was beautiful to look at. and I mean the camera angles were fantastic, and it's just a movie that reeks of Scandinavian quality. Now my only problem with the movie, this is a very small problem that does prevent it from being an absolute masterpiece, it does go for a bit too long. I actually felt that this movie makes its point, but it just meanders along a little bit more than I would have liked. I thought the ending was absolutely fantastic, but there was a moment in the last 3/4 of the film where I thought it just dragged a little bit. It got to its point, but it just seemed to have to drag on a little bit more. And that, to me, I kind of felt it. I thought that to myself that, yep, I saw a really good film, but now it's just kind of eating away, and it's not derailing the experience, so it's not making the film, any less in quality, but you can kind of sense that it's getting to that stage where it's overstaying its welcome just a little bit, but it never gets to that stage outright, but you just get glimpses that, yeah, this movie is kind of stretching out beyond its welcome, and fortunately it does end before it does get very noticeable, but that just prevents it from being an absolutely classic masterpiece. But having said that, this is still definitely a movie I would recommend. It is for an acquired taste. Once again, it's very European. If you're after an action film, stay away from this, but if you're after a movie that will question who you are as a person and make you think about your own life, then Force Majeure is definitely a film I would recommend to everyone. This is yet another very memorable Scandinavian movie, and as a result of all that, I'm going to give it 4 stars. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.